I wasn't invited to my aunt's surprise retirement gala. All on my $4,800. When I asked, my uncle said, "You hate events. But you're such a generous spirit." Then someone slipped and tagged me in a story captioned, "When the clown pays and the circus eats." I replied, "Show's over." Froze the card, reversed the payments, and sent one email to the venue with receipts. By 6 p.m., they were eating in the parking lot. I wasn't invited to the party I paid for. I didn't get a text. No address, no group chat, no reminder, nothing. I found out about the gala when someone I barely know tagged me in their Instagram story. One of my cousin's friends. I guess she hit the wrong name while posting. The video starts with a wide pan of a ballroom lit up like a wedding reception. Tables full of food, people clapping, my Aunt Sheila wiping tears while holding a microphone. In the background, a jazz trio plays something slow. The caption read, "When the clown pays and the circus eats." I watched it twice. I wasn't angry right away. Just quiet. That kind of quiet where everything lines up too cleanly to ignore. The full guest list. The catered buffet. The decorations. The photographer. All of it paid for on a card I opened 7 days earlier. I hadn't even paid off the first billing cycle yet. I'd borrowed the money to fix my car. The transmission had blown on the freeway, and I needed it to get to work. I figured I'd eat beans and pasta for a few weeks, no big deal. But then Rick called. Said they were putting together something special for Sheila. Big milestone. 38 years as an educator, finally retiring. Said the family pitched in, but they were short. They just needed someone dependable to front the last few charges. Venue. Catering. Flowers. Nothing crazy, he said. I told him I'd just taken out a loan. He said that was perfect, because now I could consolidate the expenses. Like it was some strategic partnership. I remember he said, "This is your way of showing love, Henry. You're not the toast-giving type, but you always come through." I wired him $4,800 the next morning. Told him they didn't have to pay me back. I actually said that out loud. Meant it too. Back then. The week passed with nothing. Not a single word from anyone. Not even my mom, who usually leaks family plans like a sieve. I assumed it was being kept quiet to surprise Sheila. That maybe they had some specific reason for not telling me yet. Turns out I was the only one in the dark. I called Rick after I saw the story. He answered like he'd been waiting for it. Said, "Henry, you hate big events. You'd have been miserable." Then, almost like he was praising me, he said, "But you've got a generous spirit, man. Everyone's saying it tonight." I didn't reply. I didn't yell. I didn't ask questions. I hung up and opened my banking app. I froze the card. Then I filed chargebacks on every single payment linked to that weekend. Venue, caterers, floral service, the music vendor. The disputes went through instantly. I had the receipts and everything was traceable. Then I sent one email to the venue. Subject line: unauthorized use of credit, documentation attached. I explained that I had not authorized the event, that my card was used under false pretenses, and that the charges were being reversed by my bank. I attached screenshots. That was at 4:17 p.m. By 6 p.m., the ballroom was locked. Cancelled. Vendors pulled out. Food tables cleared. They were still in their gowns and suits, standing outside, eating whatever was already plated. Sheila's big send-off happened in the parking lot. I turned my phone off for the night. Didn't feel like explaining myself. Not yet. They thought I'd feel guilty. That was their first mistake. After the gala collapsed, I expected the calls. I thought I'd get rage first, maybe a dramatic voicemail, or someone showing up at my door. But what I got was nothing. For almost 2 days. Not even my mother, and she always calls when anything remotely dramatic happens in the family. That's how I knew they were scrambling. Not to fix it. Just to decide how to spin it. To figure out how to make it my fault without outright saying it was my fault. Then, Tuesday afternoon, I got a call from Jenna. She never calls me. I think the last time she did was when she accidentally Venmo'd me $40 and wanted it back immediately. She sounded like she was reading from a script. Said there had been some confusion, and that Rick mentioned I disputed the charges. Without meaning to. That maybe I could call the bank and straighten things out. I told her I did mean to. She tried to laugh it off. Said I was always a little too deadpan for my own good. Then, as if reminding me of my own personality would change my mind, she said, "You've always hated parties, Henry. You said that at Mark's wedding?" I told her Rick could call me if he had something to say. She said okay and hung up almost immediately, like she was hoping I wouldn't call her bluff. Rick did call a few hours later. He sounded like a guy who was trying not to sound cornered. Said they didn't mean to exclude me, it just kind of happened. Said I never asked to be involved. Said I'd said the money was a gift. I let him talk. Then I told him I didn't reverse the charges out of spite. I reversed them because I wasn't interested in being part of something that treated me like a checkbook and a punchline. I said I was just exercising the same autonomy they did when they left me off the guest list. He tried to recover. Said I helped make the night possible, that I'd been a key part of it even if I wasn't physically there. So I reminded him of the caption from that Instagram story. Quoted it word for word. "When the clown pays and the circus eats." He didn't respond. Just hung up. After that, the tone shifted. I started getting texts from cousins I hadn't heard from in years. Little, "Just checking in" messages. Some apologies that didn't quite say what they were apologizing for. One from Aunt Sheila herself, clearly written by Rick. She hoped I wasn't upset, said she didn't even realize I wasn't there until later in the evening. Said it all happened so fast. Then someone else, I'm still not sure who, sent a photo to our extended family group chat. Just a handful of them sitting on plastic folding chairs in someone's driveway, holding solo cups. No decorations, no music, just people trying to pretend they were still celebrating something. Caption: "Still grateful. Even in the parking lot." I saved the photo. Didn't reply. Friday, my bank confirmed all the refunds had processed. My balance was back to normal. Technically, I wasn't out a single cent. But the best part? They still owed the vendors. And this time, the card on file wasn't mine. They thought I'd feel guilty. But I'd never felt more clear. By the end of the week, the silence broke, but not in the way I expected. No one admitted anything. No one apologized the way a person does when they realize they were wrong. Instead, they tried to roll the clock back, like nothing ever happened. It started with small things. A meme from my cousin Drew, something random about siblings, even though we weren't close. A thumbs-up emoji on an old photo I'd posted 2 months ago. Then he sent a picture of us from when we were kids, sitting in a kiddie pool in Grandma's backyard. Said something like, "Back when things were simple, right?" I didn't reply. Just saved the photo and left it on read. Then Aunt Sheila left a voicemail. She started it off warm, said she missed me, said she couldn't believe how fast the years had gone by. Then the tone shifted. She said she'd heard I was upset about not being at the party and that she didn't even realize I wasn't there until someone mentioned it after dessert. Said that if she'd known, she would have made a toast for me. "After all, you were one of the most generous souls who made the evening possible." That was how she put it. She said it like she was offering me a ribbon for sitting in the audience. That same afternoon, my mom called. She didn't waste time. Jumped right in with, "What are you doing? You've made your point." I asked her what point she thought I was making. She said Rick and Sheila were trying to move past everything and that if I didn't let it go, it would just eat at me. I told her I wasn't the one holding on to it. She said I always take things too personally. That they didn't invite me because they didn't think I'd want to come. She said they knew I wasn't a party person. That I preferred small groups and early nights. Like that made it okay to spend my money and laugh behind my back. I asked her if she'd still feel that way if someone did it to her. She went quiet. Then she said something about how family's supposed to let things go. That we shouldn't make each other into enemies. I said I wasn't making anyone into anything. I was just done pretending we were something we're not. That evening, Rick emailed me. Subject line: "Let's clear the air." He included a PDF, a typed apology, like something you'd write for HR. It had the phrases you expect from people who don't mean what they're saying. "Misunderstanding, miscommunication, no bad intentions." He said they deeply valued my support and hoped this didn't leave a permanent mark on our relationship. At the end, he added a note: the catering company was still demanding part of the payment, and if I was open to helping out, even just a bit, it would mean a lot. I didn't respond. Not even with a no. 2 days later, Jenna texted. Said she was having trouble with rent. That she'd overextended herself trying to help out, with the gala, and now things were tight. She said she hated to ask, but if I had anything to spare, she'd pay me back by next month. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed, "I think you've mistaken me for the clown again." She didn't reply. That's when they started to get it. Not because of what I said, but because of what I didn't. I wasn't engaging. I wasn't angry. I wasn't waiting for an apology. I was just done. They'd spent years counting on me to be the easy one. The quiet one. The helper. The one who says, "Don't worry about it," and means it. But the thing about people like that is, when they're done, it's quiet. No shouting. No scenes. Just a locked door where there used to be an open hand. And I hadn't even turned the key all the way yet. By week 3, the air had shifted. The silence wasn't clean anymore. It felt thick, like something was waiting. You can always tell when people are building their next move, like kids putting a blanket over a mess and pretending it's not there. I'd already made my move. I wasn't planning a follow-up. I was just living. Then came the wildcard, Grandma. She called on a Sunday morning. Early. The kind of hour people usually reserve for real emergencies or guilt. I answered. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't want her showing up at my door. She skipped any preamble. Said she heard there'd been tension after Sheila's party. That maybe feelings were hurt. Maybe things got mishandled. But it was time to move on. Then she said something like, "You've always been the mature one, Henry. You know better than to hold things over people's heads." I told her I wasn't holding anything over anyone. I was just done participating. She didn't like that. I could hear it in the pause. Then she said, "Rick's a mess over this. Jenna hasn't been herself. Sheila cried at dinner last week." I said, "That's unfortunate." She went quiet for a second. Then hit me with the classic line, "You're better than this." That one landed flat. I told her maybe I wasn't better than anything. Maybe I was just finally matching people's energy instead of excusing it. She told me she hoped I'd think about what kind of man I wanted to be. We ended the call shortly after. That night, Jenna posted a photo of a bare fridge on her Instagram story. 3 condiments, a bottle of water, and an ice tray. Caption: "Loyalty doesn't come with a refund." An hour later, she added another post, a takeout container with plain rice and nothing else. "When you do for others, they disappear when it's your turn." I ignored it. Didn't even screenshot that one. But someone sent me a different post. My cousin Aaron DM'd it to me, said, "I assume this is about you?" It was a comment thread under Jenna's rice photo. Someone had asked what happened. Jenna replied, "Ask Henry. He knows who he left hanging." No tag. Just my name like I was a cautionary tale. A villain in a story where no one mentioned how they got the money in the first place. I didn't respond. Instead, I watched as they kept trying new angles. Rick texted the next morning. Said they'd managed to work something out with the venue after all. That they sold some personal items, scraped things together, called in favors. Said, "We're getting back on our feet. Just wish you'd stayed part of the team." That line stuck with me. Part of the team. Like I was the one who left the huddle. Like they didn't pull a play behind my back, run with it, and then look shocked when I didn't stick around to celebrate. The next day, a voicemail came through from an unknown number. The venue manager. She sounded tired. Said everything had been resolved. That the charges were closed. Rick had been in touch. Then she said this, almost like she was confused. "He asked me to tell you that you won. I told him I didn't know what kind of game you two were playing, but I wasn't getting in the middle of it." I hadn't said anything about games. I hadn't done anything but take my money back and stop picking up the phone. And still, somehow, that was a win. That's when I understood something I hadn't seen before. They only respected pressure. Boundaries. Consequences. When I was kind, I was convenient. When I gave without asking, I was useful. But when I said no, when I made it cost something to cross the line, they called it power. They called it a game. They were finally starting to treat me like someone they couldn't walk over. And they hated it. I thought they were done trying. After the venue folded and the refund stuck, after the guilt posts and veiled messages dried up, after Grandma gave up her role as peace ambassador, I figured that was it. They'd retreat, lick their wounds, and maybe, finally, just leave me alone. But the 6th week, I got a letter in the mail. Not an email. Not a text. A proper envelope, Cream-colored, heavy paper, my name handwritten on the front. No return address. Inside was a printed invitation to a brunch. Not just any brunch. A family reconciliation brunch at a restaurant downtown that I recognized immediately. Expensive. The kind of place you reserve for proposals or baby showers. At the bottom it said, hosted by Aunt Sheila and Rick. Your presence is requested. It was so absurd I laughed. No mention of the gala. No apology. Just reconciliation. As if we were diplomats, and not the same people who'd ghosted me while spending money I didn't have. I tossed it on the counter and forgot about it. Until 2 days later, when I got a phone call from an unfamiliar number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Rick. His voice sounded careful. Henry, hey. You probably got the invite. Look, this isn't just about brunch. We want to talk. There's something we're thinking about doing, and we'd rather do it with you involved. It's bigger than all this stuff from the past few weeks. Call me back. I didn't. He called again the next day. Left another voicemail. This time, he mentioned a business opportunity. Said he and Sheila were planning to invest in a small event space. We learned a lot from throwing the gala, and even with the hiccups, it reminded us of what we could build. Hiccups. That was the word he used. Like it had been a mild inconvenience, and not a calculated use of my money. Then came the twist. We've been thinking, maybe we bring you in. Partner level. You've got a mind for logistics. You could handle operations. It's time we work as a family again. I actually had to pause and play the message again. Partner level. Operations. They wanted me to go into business with them. With the people who stole from me, laughed behind my back, and served up guilt when I stopped funding their lies. I thought about it for a day. Not because I was considering it, but because I wanted to be precise in what I said when I answered. When I finally texted Rick back, it was short. I don't build with people who knock down what I already paid for. He never replied. But 3 days later, Jenna posted a picture at that same restaurant from the brunch. Half the table was empty. The caption said, "Some people would rather hold a grudge than build something real." That part didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was who liked the post, my mom. I didn't message her about it. Didn't ask for an explanation. Instead, I opened a folder I'd forgotten about on my phone. Screenshots. Voice recordings. The bank dispute PDFs. Even the photo of the parking lot buffet. Then I created a new one, titled it, Insurance. Because something told me this wasn't over. And if they ever really came for me again, I wasn't going to freeze the card next time. I was going to burn the ledger. It's funny how fast people pivot when they realize they've run out of leverage. A week after the brunch invite mess, my mom called again. I picked up, thinking maybe she'd finally talk straight. But instead, she wanted to know if I'd heard about Jenna's eviction notice. Apparently, she'd fallen behind on rent again, and her roommate moved out. Mom said maybe I could just help her get through this month. Said Jenna was in a tough spot, and family helps family. I told her that's what Jenna said too, right before they helped themselves to my emergency loan and turned me into the family joke. Mom said I was being spiteful. I didn't answer. Just ended the call and blocked her number for the rest of the day. I knew she'd cool off and text me something vague later. She always did. But what made me sit down and write all this wasn't the money, or the betrayal, or even the insult. It was the way they kept circling back, acting like I was the one with a lesson to learn. Like I owed them resolution. Like all of this hadn't started with a choice they made, one they never really apologized for. That's when I realized they weren't sorry. Not for what they did. Just that it stopped working. So I decided to share this here on Reddit. I've been reading these kinds of stories for years, the ones where people finally draw a line, and others show up to say, "You're not crazy." I never thought I'd be the one writing one. But here I am. I've got every receipt. Every screenshot. Every voicemail. They can twist the story to anyone else who'll listen, but not here. Not this time. And if anything else happens, if they try to drag me into something new, or come knocking again like I've just forgotten the last 6 weeks, I'll post an update. I promise. Because now, there are no more quiet warnings. No more frozen cards. Next time, it won't be the circus getting shut down. It'll be the tent going up in flames. Update. I thought they'd cool off for a while. I thought maybe they finally got the message. But if there's one thing I've learned about my family, it's that silence just gives them time to come up with the next act. Yesterday afternoon, I got a text from my cousin Erin. We haven't spoken directly since the Gala fallout, and she's smart enough to usually stay out of the mess. So when she sent me a photo with no caption, I figured something was up. It was a wedding invitation. Not hers. Jenna and Malcolm. I had to double-check the names. I honestly thought it was a joke. Jenna and Malcolm, the on-again, off-again couple who've broken up more times than anyone can count, were getting married. In 2 months. Venue? You guessed it. The same one they were kicked out of during the retirement gala. Either they're masochists, or they genuinely believe the third time's the charm. I'm guessing it's delusion. An hour after that, I got added to a group text from an unknown number. No introduction, no pleasantries. Just this. Hi everyone! Jenna and Malcolm's wedding is coming up soon, and we're beyond excited. In lieu of traditional gifts, we'd be so grateful for any contributions to help make the day extra special. Venmo and Cash App info below. Thank you for supporting their love. No formal invite. No RSVP link. Just a thinly veiled donation request. The audacity wasn't even surprising anymore. And then, as if that wasn't enough, Rick called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail that was somehow worse than the text. He sounded way too cheerful. Said he hoped I'd heard the news that Jenna was finally settling down and ready to start fresh. He said the wedding was a chance to heal old wounds and that helping Jenna now would show I truly moved past the Gala situation. And then he dropped the line that really got to me. You've always been the one who shows up when it counts, Henry. There it was again. That same old manipulation, dressed up in family sentiment. They still think I'm waiting for an opportunity to be good again. Like I'm just biding my time to earn back their approval, when in reality, I deleted that currency months ago. I didn't respond to Rick. But I did write one thing in the group chat. Let me know if the venue has a parking lot menu again. No one replied. I muted the thread. I didn't want to post again, honestly. I figured this whole saga was wrapped. But I also didn't expect them to try circling the collection plate at me like nothing ever happened. So here's your update. Yes, there's a wedding. Yes, they're asking for money. No, I'm not going. And if they try anything else, and something tells me they will, you'll see another post. Because I'm not part of their act anymore. I'm just the guy keeping the receipts.